Thank you. Thank you. Je suis enchanté d'être avec vous et c'est la fin de mon français. You know, I've heard representatives from great nations today, from Germany, from France, Jordan, Austria, Ireland, Italy, the European Union, San Marino, Ireland, Bangladesh. I may have missed some. So the answer is, where is America? And I want to just tell you how proud I am to be with so many distinguished international panelists, but also with a group of American leaders, Republican and Democrat, that have enormous credibility in the United States. And Mrs. Rajavi, thank you for assembling this great group of not just panelists, but audience members who are here. Now, General Jones said that this is the time for statesmen. And he also said this is not a time for politicians. Well, I'm a politician, but I want to say to you that there are three kinds of politicians. The first politician is the one that tells you how bad things are, and if you elect them, they will change how bad things are. The second group of politicians tells you how good things are, and if you re-elect them, things will stay very good. The third group of politician is one that tells you the truth. And I believe that our panelists here very much, without exception, well, maybe a couple, are in that category. And I'm going to tell you what I feel right now. You know, when I walked in, the senator from Romania, he looks like a real senator, doesn't he, with his white hair and strong, big guy, said, "This sounds like a political rally when you were clapping so strong." And I sense that this is the end, I sense, of a political campaign where you pick up that there's a lot of momentum on your side. Things are going good. You're not quite there yet with victory, but things are moving in the right direction. In America, as they say, with momentum. The tide is moving your way. And I feel the movement that is represented here by Mrs. Rajavi and by you. History is on your side. And I attended, just think, since January 25th, what has happened. That's when a similar event took place in Brussels. January 25th, maybe a month ago. What's happened since then? Enormous turmoil and change in the Middle East. Tunisia, Egypt, changing leadership, Bahrain, Libya. So much dramatic uplifting of people wanting democracy. Women, young people, but every kind of people. And in Iran, a momentous event on February 14th, where the people of Iran rose up and the leadership, the regime, tried to repress them. But what the people in Iran were saying on that day is they didn't say they wanted reform. They wanted a new government and regime change. What else has happened? Executions of very brave Iranians. The repression in that nation continues. But there's a bubble of democracy about to explode. And so it turns to what has happened in the international community. Well, the European Union has taken a strong position in delisting the MEK, and they're to be commended. What else has happened? Many international human rights leaders have taken that position. And so, I guess the answer is, what about America? What about the United States? And I will say to you, if we take these positive steps, the fight may not be over. We may need to do many other things. But clearly, delisting the MEK is something that is good for the Iranian people, and I will say, for the security of the United States. There's bipartisan support. Both parties want to see this happen. And I'm optimistic, and I want you to leave this session feeling good, because I think momentum and the tides of history, and all you have to do is turn on your TV every night and hear about a leader, a repressive leader leaving. Hopefully tonight we'll hear about the one from Libya leaving. And so, I thank you for your time. Je suis très enchanté de vous être ici. Thank you.
Madam Rajavi, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me at this important event. And I would like to start by making a confidence to you. When I was studying at the University of Geneva, I met, a few years ago, I met a young Iranian student who, despite his youth, was already a man of wisdom and a man of action. His name was Dr. Kazim Rajavi. For me, his greatest quality was his total dedication for the others, sometimes putting them even before himself and his family. And even if our lives were different, we evolved in different directions, I always have the same respect and friendship. All this remained unchanged during my life. I am sure you can very well imagine how shocked I was when I heard that he was assassinated in Geneva for his active role in the United Nations with regard to human rights violation in Iran. And I am convinced, even starting from this only point, that he can really be called the great martyr for human rights in Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, in these days when in North Africa and in Middle East there is a clear move towards democracy and freedom, the attempts of the current rulers of Iran to divert liberation movements in that region towards Islam fundamentalism would be fatal for the whole world. In this regard, the antithesis to fundamentalism and extremism, which believes in tolerant and democratic Islam deserves unequivocal support by the international community. Therefore, we are strongly supporting the third option suggested by Madam Rajavi here, President of the National Council of Resistance, which promises the prospects for a democratic change by the Iranian people and its resistance. Of course, as we have already heard, there is a widespread uprising of the people across Iran against the religious dictatorship, and they are courageously fighting with the governmental violence and suppression. They are fighting for their rights and freedoms. Extensive arrests, increase of political executions, including the family members of Ashraf residents, aimed at preventing the spread of the uprising, are not only painful, but I think they should be condemned. We will urge our government to cut the economic, political, and trade relations of Romania with the Iranian regime, and supporting the referring of the dossier on suppression of human rights violations in Iran to the United Nations Security Council for imposing effective sanctions against the regime. We also call on our government to acknowledge the Iranian resistance against religious dictatorship and to start a direct dialogue with the National Council for Resistance in Iran. I cannot conclude my remarks without also strongly demanding protection by the US forces and the United Nations for the residents of Camp Ashraf, who are protected persons under the Fourth Geneva Convention, with a view to end the cruel medical siege of them and their current psychological torture. We are confident that very soon, United States, following the example of European countries, will delete the PHOI from the blacklist. I thank you all for being here today and for listening to us. I'm convinced that freedom in Iran and democracy in Iran will soon become a reality, not only an objective for which you are all fighting. Thank you.